Gonna wait a little bit, let some people join in. What's up, Luke? Just wait a little bit longer, let some people join in, then we'll start. Hi there. I don't know how to pronounce your name, but hey. And hey, Brian. Just a little bit more and we'll start, guys. Sorry about this. Just want to make sure that we get plenty of people so I don't have to repeat myself. Pretty cold in Georgia? I bet. Here temperature's supposed to jump up here tomorrow. That's what I heard at least. Hopefully that's true. How's it going? Oh, I'm going great. I'm doing just fine. Well, we got plenty of people here. I guess we'll go ahead and start. So if you notice here, the Little Red has some different wheels on it. And these are not permanent, trust me on that. These are actually the ones that came off of my truck right there. I think I mentioned before that I went on a cruise with the Ratty Muscle Cars bunch. And the tires that were on this truck were actually not that great. So my dad let me borrow his wheels and tires for the time being. And this basically is the exact setup that I wanted. So eventually, I've got some tires coming in on the way, same exact tires, except they'll be on the black wheels that are in there. And eventually I'm going to get me some 15x9 aluminum slot mags. What am I doing to the truck today? Right now? So my temperature gauge wasn't reading properly. It was saying that it was running way too hot. Basically, the needle was pegged on H. So I took those little laser pointer thermometer things and pointed it at every piece of like cooling apparatus on this thing, like the radiator, the thermostat housing, all sorts on the water pump and everything, and it was running exceptionally well. It was not like anywhere near running hot. So what we thought it might be is the temperature sending unit is bad. So I replaced it. I haven't started it up yet because I'm waiting for the silicone to dry. And also, if you notice, this thing doesn't have a overflow tank. So I went and grabbed one off of one of the parts trucks out there. I'm letting it actually soak right now with some Purple Power and water. That way I get all the trash out from the inside. So that'll probably sit for a few hours or overnight, depending on what I do. But yeah, that's what I'm doing right now. I'm guessing you're saying hello from Brazil, maybe? But if so, hey, hello from America. And the petty truck, haven't really done a lot to the engine, but big steps have been made. If you notice, this back wheel is a lot lower than it used to be. That's because, you probably can't see it, but that shackle got flipped. Now it's actually facing the other way. Let me go get a light for you guys. I'll show you what it looks like. Oh, here's a better light. And the shop's a mess because we've been going at it. Haven't had a chance to clean it up. A messy shop is a good shop. Here we go. As you can see, that shackle has been flipped over because before it was actually 180. So that dropped it maybe about 2.5 inches and really closed up this wheel gap. That's with all the pressure put on the suspension right now. And also, we ordered a brand new fuel cell from Summit and all the mounting hardware to do it with. So right there. Sorry, this is a really weird angle, but I'll do a better in-depth view of it later on. But that's a brand new aluminum fuel cell. All new fuel lines been ran for it. So everything as far as the fuel is ready to go. Eventually we'll have to cut a door in the bed so that we have some kind of trap door that goes to the filler cap in the tank. Hey, Matthew Brown. I see your comments a lot. I got a question for you guys. Let's see if I can get a good view of it here. Can you see that sticker right there? Would any of you be interested in getting some of these? This is basically a replica of the Petty truck. I drew that picture right there. I drew it and my mom took it and actually made a sticker out of it. So if you guys would be interested in maybe like getting some of these stickers, let me know. I think they're pretty cool. They're one of my favorite stickers that we made so far. So yeah, the Little Red, just some temporary stuff here. Yeah, man, let me know if they go for sale. Yeah, definitely. If you guys think they're pretty cool, let me know, because I really like these stickers. I think that they're probably one of the cooler ones that we've made, and it definitely matches this truck. It's pretty much, if you forget what you're driving, just turn around and look, and there you go, just in case you ever forget. I would like to have one. It's pretty cool. I think so. It's simple. That's what I like about it. It's really simple. You guys have any questions? I figured I'd just do a live video while I was out in the shop. I wasn't doing much of anything else. I figured I'd just talk with you guys for a little bit. What year Mustang do I have? 2004. It's a V6 5-speed. It's actually not here right now. Somebody mentioned in a comment they thought that this was a 6-pack intake or a 6-pack air cleaner for like a TA Challenger or a AA Arcuda. This is actually off of like a 69 Roadrunner, and it's actually meant for a single 4-barrel carburetor, because this one, what it does, this one mounts to the carburetor itself, and then it has a bar that actually goes out to the back here, and then it mounts to a separate stud. So it's actually just a single carburetor on this one. Would you ever go for a 60s Mustang? My dad had a 68. I almost bought a 65. I think they're cool. I like a fastback especially, but I don't know. I think they're neat. I don't really know as much about them compared to a Dodge. Diesel Little Red. I have seen that one, the one that drag races. That thing is insane. This one's not a diesel, but, you know, it would be cool. Would you ever do a video on your Mustang? Probably not. It's not as cool as the rest of this stuff. What do you do to be able to pay for all these cars? I work. I want to see Christine, Plymouth Fury, 1958. Well, the Christine video that I made here recently, it was actually a Savoy, so we don't have any Furies around here. And that's actually not mine. That's my good friend Logan Jolly's. What's next for the Duster? That's a good question. What is next for the Duster? Probably, I mentioned before I want to get a good set of front tires for it, and maybe tag and insure it. I don't know. It's pretty good the way it is. It's just about ready to drive. Let's see. No more Mustang questions with Dodge trucks present. Right. Hey, I appreciate Mustangs. There's nothing wrong with them. I've been driving one for 5 or 6 years now, so it's got me around. Like, what job do you have? Well, over the summer I worked at Walmart as a cashier, saved up all my money. That's how I bought that truck. That's how I bought my Duster. And right now I work at a fitness center. What do you think about a 1985 F-150? I think they're great trucks. Those are probably of that, that body style, the similar body styles like that. That's my favorite year. My grandfather had an 86. I believe it's an 86, 85 or 86, and it's a Lariat XLT, I believe, and it has the dual tanks, 351. It doesn't now, but it used to. Blue and tan, two-tone. and it's pretty much going to stay in the family forever. Have I built any high performance engines? Nothing too crazy. To my extent, it's mostly been, intake, cam, good set of heads, headers, carburetor. Nothing like. I haven't done anything ridiculous though. At least I haven't. I mean, my he's built some engines before, but I'm still just getting started really. Does the shackle flip work for 90s Ram? Well, this frame is actually off an 84. So if it's, I think it's 93 was the last year for the square body. So if you have one that's 93 and back, it should work. Don't quote me on that, but I'm pretty sure that's how it is. What's one something car or Dodge truck you have been wanting to get your hands on for a while? Oh, okay. What kind of car or truck do I want to get my hands on? I don't know. I'm pretty content the way I have it right now. I've got my Duster. That was one I really wanted for a long time. I've gotten a truck, got my 4-door, and I have my Dart. I really want to focus on what I have right now. I'm not really looking for anything new at the moment, but I'd really like to, really hone in on what I have at the moment. What size of carb do you have on the police car? It's a 1406 Edelbrock, so it's like a 600 CFM. It was a pretty good deal. I bought it brand new. That way I could make sure that nothing was wrong with it, because that 2-barrel that was on it was just trash. I actually have it around here somewhere. It's a Stromberg 2-barrel. It's a huge 2-barrel. Somebody said 454. Yes, those are cool. Why do you not drive your cars/trucks daily? Well, mainly because older vehicles, they run into a lot more problems unless you really can make them bulletproof. And, I mean, that and gas. There's nothing wrong with driving one daily. I would if I could afford it, but I stick with the Mustang because it's better on gas and just more reliable. Maybe one day. Hey man, I liked and subscribed. I'm glad. What's the story on the CUDA? I also have a 70 CUDA 383 4-speed. That's one thing I'd like to do eventually. I'd like to talk about every single vehicle in detail. And you notice that I didn't include my Dart in that special. That's because I really want to do one dedicated video to it and talk about like what I had to do to get it. But the story on it, it was raced in the 80s, late 70s, early 80s, I think. And I mean, it had like somebody put an automatic in it. It had like Mustang bucket seats. Somebody put T-tops, air shocks in the rear. So somebody had some really big jacked up tires in the rear, and it got raced. And I think that, I can't exactly remember, but at some point it got wrecked, but not like wrecked. It like ran up a guide wire on a telephone pole, and it just rippled up the fender. So I think it got parked. They pulled the engine and transmission out of it, and it sat in a tobacco barn for a few years. And then the guy who was selling it needed to do work on his house. So my dad, he worked with him, and he said, "Hey, I need to sell this because I've got to do some renovations." And he actually ended up selling it to my dad. What's the strangest car you found and what year? Oh man, strangest car I found. Well, a few videos back, if you look at the Field of Dreams video, it was back in the summer. This guy had a ton of Nashes and Opel GTs. Those were pretty strange, but those were pretty cool. I don't know exactly what year they were. Do you have many barn finds around where you live? I do know where another Dart Sport is. I've already asked about it. He didn't want to sell it. And I know where a Charger is. I know where, let's see, what else do I know of? I know where a few of these trucks are. Always on the lookout for these trucks. What else? No, hey, here's the cool one. I know right down the road from me, there's a 70 Plymouth GTX 446 pack just sitting out in the front yard. Not many people know about it, but it's just sitting out there. What engine should I put in my $500 1969 Junkyard Nova, 5.3 or a 454? You can't beat the LS engines. Honestly, you cannot beat them. But there is something about a 454. Um, I just mentioned Logan Jolly. He's got a 64 Chevelle Malibu that it came with a 283, and he put a 454 in it, and that thing looks killer sitting in there. But you can't beat an LS engine. So if you have the money and the means to do it, I'd definitely go with LS. What year Dart is it? It's a 72 Swinger. I'm glad to see you've got both my dream e-body cars. My 70 Charger has previous drag racing moments, but it has a 2-barrel. Maybe somebody made some swaps, hopefully. They ran a 2-barrel in drag racing. That's pretty neat. Hey, Dylan. Hey, Dead Man Production. I know where a TA Challenger is. That's cool. Always keep an eye out for stuff. Maybe you can actually hit him up and see if you can buy something. Got some people pulling in. I have a 2-barrel carb on my 351 Mustang. Is it worth it to change to a 4? Honestly, I'd say so. I've gone from, my truck actually had a 2-barrel on it, and really, in my opinion, you seem to get more fuel mileage and performance out of it. From what I can tell, it's just a lot better all around. What about a turbo setup? Should I go for twins or a single eBay turbo? If you're going for cheap, probably be better off with a single turbo from eBay. But if you want to go for like the wow factor, twin turbo, that would be pretty neat. When will the petty truck can be on the road and all ready to go? It's getting close, honestly. It's getting very close. Let's see. What else does it need? It needs the brakes rebuilt. That's one thing that's coming up soon. I actually have calipers for it. My dad picked up a set not that long ago. So basically all new rotors and calipers and everything. But all the fuel lines have been ran, so it's honestly, the drive shafts has been hooked up. Transmission's got fluid in it. Engine's got fluid in it. So honestly, it wouldn't really take that much to put it back on the road. It's getting close, honestly. The bed still needs to be mounted. The mounts have to be built for it. And, sorry, you can't see anything in here. But also, what else needs to be done? Not a whole lot. Oh, it needs to be rewired. That's one big thing. Forgot about that. And the gauges had to be put in and all that stuff. What tips do you have on being a cautious looker when driving to spot Mopar projects? Let's see. Well, just be nice. Honestly, when I bought the Duster, the guy was sitting out in his front yard, and I just walked up to him and said, "Hey, would you be interested in selling your Duster?" And the first time I went, he wasn't very interested in it. He's like, "No, I appreciate it. Just don't be rude about it. It's their vehicle, and they can sell it, and they can do whatever they want to it because it's their car. So, don't be offended if they don't want to sell it to you. But always, just always be looking for like the people who have like a barn in the back or something. You can always see like, if you see like a fender of a car, slow down. There's been times where I've like turned around just to go see what something is, and it'd be something interesting. Let's see, Ford Mustang 2, 74 or 71 or 70 Gremlin, and why? Oh, those are some interesting choices there. I don't know. That's a really weird. Those are two odd cars. I've seen Mustang 2s that have looked really cool, but it took a lot of work to get there. But I don't know. Gremlins with V8s are cool. And why? I don't know. I really don't like either one of those. Good luck with your choice, though. Does it sit higher on the new frame? I'm guessing you're talking about the petty truck. Not really. It honestly sits about the same, but it's going to be lowered because the factory truck, it sat just as high, and we're going to lower the front by doing the lower control arm out of a van has deeper pockets where the spring sits. So that means that the spring will sit lower and it won't affect like how well it rides in the front, because you'll still use the same spring and won't have to cut it. What type of carbs do I use? Edelbrock. That's just because how easy they are to work on. If I'm doing something that's like a driver, usually I'll go with an Edelbrock, and it's basically a Carter. Well, it is a Carter carburetor, and that's what Dodge used from the factory back in the day. So it's pretty much using an old Carter carburetor. But there's nothing wrong with a Holley. I mean, if you're wanting to go out for all-out performance, Hollies are a good carburetor too. What's your dream Mopar? Ooh. For the longest time, it was a Challenger, like a 70 Challenger. But now I couldn't tell you. I appreciate all sorts of different kinds. I'm doing a drag project because on the Motor Trend channel, Hot Rod Garage built the Bone Marrow, which is why I'm building a 10-second car right now. Yeah, the Bone Marrow is really cool. I like that car. It's like, it makes me want to do something like that eventually. Maybe with like a Dodge vehicle instead. There's a lot of work that goes into that though. What's my favorite Mopar C-body? Probably a 65 Chrysler like I got. I don't really know much about the C-bodies. Oh, maybe, are Imperials considered C-bodies? I know they're similar, but I know that there's also Imperials are like on their own kind of deal. I do like Imperials though. A lot of Imperials are neat, but I like my 65 Chrysler. Oh, a 67 or 8 Newport 2-door with like that fastback look on the roof. I love that one. What's my dream car? Y'all want to know what my dream car is, but I couldn't tell you. I just like a lot of different vehicles. That's a tough question. That really is a tough question. What good tranny should I buy for my 69 Nova? Anything with overdrive. I don't really know as much about Chevrolet, so I couldn't tell you with certainty what to get, but anything with overdrive, because I know the Chevrolets have a lot of different options for overdrive. A friend of mine told me that Holley has released a new carb for around $370. Not bad. Let's see. Oh, another thing about if you want to stop in and ask somebody about buying something that's in their yard, don't be afraid to, like, if you get shot down, don't be afraid to, like, sit on it and come back later at a later time, because that's what happened with that Duster. They said no, came back a year later, and they said yes. So, where's Logan? He's at home, probably working on his Charger right now. And I actually made a video on the 69 Charger. I went over to his house maybe a week ago and worked on a video with him. So that'll come out here in the next few days. Are headers worth the headache? I hear they leak all the time. Yeah, I mean, they can leak. And these, I'll show the other side. Ignore that wiring because, like I mentioned before, that's temporary. But let's see if you can see. But these headers, I think that they're probably, if you're just wanting something that's obviously long tubes, they give you more performance in the long run, but these block huggers are actually really, really useful because they're short, they stay out of the way, you don't have to worry about anything making any, how do I say it? Nothing like hits each other. It's all contained and it stays out of the way. So block hugger headers, I'm going to get a set for my truck eventually. But yeah, I mean, long tubes, they can get really bothersome. But I would look into some kind of shorty header if you want something that's not going to bother you a lot. Hey man, what engine does the Plymouth Duster have? It has a slant 6. Automatic. Is it worth it to overdrive a stock transmission or swap in a 5-speed? That's all preference, honestly. I mean, that's depending on what you want to do with it. Do you want something that's, automatic, or would you rather be shifting gears? That's totally up to you. I mean, I honestly like 5 speeds, but as I mentioned before, automatics, they win the races because you don't have to worry about shifting gears. What exhaust do you prefer, straight pipe or Flowmasters? I mean, I'd rather have some kind of muffler because straight pipes end up just being way too loud over time. And Flowmasters are good, but I'm leaning towards Dynamax Ultra Flows here recently. Those things sound killer, and I really don't like chambered exhaust mufflers anymore. I don't like the way they sound. My Charger from the factory was 4-speed, but had a 727 auto put into it. What do you think about a reverse manual valve body? If you're going racing, have at it. What's your favorite Mopar engine? That's a tough question too. I mean, all I've really dealt with, I've dealt with big block and small blocks, obviously. I've got both of them in all my vehicles, but for ease of work, like easily to work on, probably a small block, but big blocks they have a really good sound to them. I've worked more on small blocks. That's what I've normally had. That Chrysler's the only big block that I have. I don't know. I couldn't pick. I'm started debating on putting a big block in the Duster. How come one of the cars like the Dodge Demon looks exactly like the Duster? Because they're the same car, just rebodied. It's like, because Dodge and Plymouth are all in the Chrysler group back then, so you have Dodge Demons, Plymouth Duster. They're the same car, just rebadged and then put with different grills and taillights so that they could sell them under different names. Kind of like Chevrolet and GMC does nowadays. They look the same. They're pretty much the exact same vehicle. They just have, different names for them. So like for the Plymouth version of these were called Trail Dusters. So it was a Plymouth Trail Duster and a Dodge Adventurer. The later Darts looked the same too. Yep, Dart Sports. Later on, they were the exact same car as a Duster, just rebodied pretty much. Oh, let me grab a light if I'm going outside. My uncle has 74 Dart Sport with a 340. It nearly killed him because he rolled it many times. Now the car sits in a pasture. That was pretty much my first car. 74 Dart Sport with a 318 though. It sucks he rolled it. Did you use a stock 2-barrel linkage with a 4-barrel on your cop car? What modifications do you have to do? So basically I did the exact same thing on this truck as I did on the cop car here. Let me get you all a good light. So this part right here, there's this so you can see it, where the throttle cable goes through. We flipped that over, and you can see those 2 burn spots. That's because the kick down ended up just heating it up and then putting a bend into it so it sits wider, and then stuck a bolt in it with a nut on the other side. That way you can have an adjustment to it. My dad has a 74 Hang 10. Wicked interior and graphics. Yes, Hang 10s are beautiful. I looked at one. I was almost going to go look at one. I found one on Craigslist that was pretty cheap, and I wanted it bad. I wanted something really bad, but I didn't go through with it. I'm sure you noticed that the Plymouths are so rare. Never see a Trail Duster or a Plymouth van. Yeah, you're right. They're a lot harder to find. Figured I'd show you guys what the Warlock is. Can you show under the hood a little red? Yeah, I'll go back in here in a second. Here's where the Warlock is. Still need to, basically it's been put on hold for the petty truck. Wanted to take and put the inner fenders back in. Actually, it needed a new set because they were rusted out. And then once those go back in, I'm going to repaint all the inside and then repaint the outside eventually. Needs a new hood for it, and got a grill in the lower piece for it, and a new front bumper, I believe. No, got a rear bumper for it. The front bumper was actually pretty good on it, but some people were asking about that. We really need to focus in on it. It's probably going to be after the petty truck gets done. We might wheel it back in there here soon and really throw it down and put it back together. We'll go in and show the little red under the hood. If you watch the 20,000 subscribers, I actually showed a clip of it, I believe. I thought I did. Maybe I cut it out. Can't remember. What would you call a 73 Duster with a 70 Doghouse and a 68 Valiant hood, grill, and front valance? I have one, call it special. I don't know. Should I go for drag radials or for my Nova or Hoosier slicks? Depends on if you're driving it. Are you gonna be driving on the road? I mean, you could obviously like have it set up for both. Like if you're going straight to the track, have slicks. Got a trail duster too. Sweet. Here's under the hood of the Little Red. As I mentioned in that last video, this is the factory chrome air cleaner lid, factory chrome valve covers, and these are factory snorkels here. AC works on it, power steering, power brakes on it, so it's got all the options it's supposed to. Have you ever tried a low car kick down cable setup? Got an 86 W150 I'd like to try it on. Yeah, actually, the white rat rod, it's actually got a low car kick down setup on it, and it works pretty well. Very easy to adjust too. So if you don't have one, or if you want something that's really easy to adjust, I definitely look into a low car. I think I'm gonna have to go here in a minute. Phone's about to die. So if you got any questions, go ahead and get them out here. Is Little Red the showpiece of the collection? It is definitely one of the nicer ones. It obviously has these janky looking wheels on it right now, but that's only because I needed a set of tires to borrow. So definitely don't think that these are what are on it. It actually has the factory wheels that are supposed to go on it. But yeah, it's gone to a lot of shows. We've taken it to many shows. It's won a lot of trophies at the local Mopar shows and whatnot. And actually, a few years back, it either won, I can't remember if it was first or second place out of like, there were 1,500 cars there, and in the truck category of its year, it got first or second place, but I don't remember. Is McCool your actual last name? Yes, definitely. I know it. People don't believe me when I say it, but it actually is. My grandpa used to own a 68 Nova with a 258 inline 6 with original interior, but now he has a 93 GMC Safari. Oh, cool. 68 Novas are one of my favorite years for a Nova. I love how your dad's CUDA sounds with that 484 cam. I might get the same cam for my 383. Definitely. They sound wicked. That's the same cam I have in my Dart, same grind, and you can't beat it. It sounds awesome. Just make sure you have the supporting stuff with it to go with it, like valve springs and proper torque converter if it's automatic. But yeah, that car runs out really strong. In my truck, I have a 351 Windsor with long tube headers, 4-barrel carburetor, 3-speed automatic. Sounds like you got a neat little hot rod then. Wish I could get a 74 to 78 Monaco. A lot were took out on TV shows. Civilian Wreckage, 534 were took out by just Roscoe and the Dukes. Hope I can get my hands on just one. Yes. I'm mostly interested in like a 74 Monaco just for the Blues Brothers. But you can never find those things. I've looked and looked, and they're so hard to find that people want outrageous amounts for them. What about the solid roller camshaft? Well, yeah, obviously a solid roller is going to get you more power. But if you're wanting something that you can just put in and be done with it, and you don't want to have to constantly adjust, I mean, you can go with the solid, but if you want something you don't have to mess with all the time, it's hydraulic's the way to go. But that's what I run. I run a hydraulic in my Dart. I mean, if you want a solid and you want more power, then yeah, that's the way to go. Check out MB Mopar on Instagram. He has a Blues. I've seen him. I've actually seen that car. That's when that car does They run off the ramp there at the very end, and then he throws it in reverse and backs it up, slams on the brakes, and does a backflip, and then jumps over the Nazi people. And it gets me every time. It's one of my favorite parts. Well, would a cam be the first upgrade? Would a cam be the first engine upgrade? It could be. That's one of the big things that I do. But the first upgrade I normally do is like a 4-barrel intake or headers. Something you don't have to totally tear the engine down with. But I mean, if you do an intake, you're just about all the way there for like a cam. So, might as well. But yeah, you can't beat cam. Definitely can help out with performance. I'm definitely looking into putting one in this thing. Eventually, I will. Not too sure when. It'll probably be a little later down the road. Nothing too aggressive. Maybe like I was looking at the Comp XE262 because they have a little bit of a little bit of a lopey idle. They have really good low down performance, and I just want something that'll increase a little bit of horsepower, but not take away from its drivability. I do know where an 80 Grand Fury is. They're just as rare. Anything like that, like big 4-doors, they just do it for me. I love those things. Happy St. Patty's Day. Happy St. Patty's Day to all of you too. Would you say the 318 is a bulletproof motor? If you treat it right, yeah. I mean, if you do the right things to it, you can't hardly beat one of them things. 318 or a slant 6, they're hard to beat. I had a 318 in that first dart of mine, and you could not blow that thing up. I was hard on it too. I like comp cams. I got a XE274 my 340 Duster. Awesome cam. Yeah, those things sound wicked. I didn't want to go that aggressive. I wanted something that had a little bit of a lope, but nothing that really required a stall speed. I didn't want something that was too aggressive. But yeah, 274 cams, man, those sound really good. Would you do a 5.9 liter Cummins swap in the future? I honestly don't know a lot about Cummins engines or like any diesels in general, so probably not. That's not to say that those aren't really cool though. I do appreciate the engineering behind them, but probably not. What do you think about the new Dodge Demon? I'm kind of bitter about the Demon name, but I'm kind of excited about what it is because I think it's cool that they have like 18-inch wheels with the drag radials on them, and you saw like in that video they did a few months back maybe where you see like the tire wrinkling up to get traction. I think that was awesome. So I'm excited about what Dodge is doing. I'm just really glad that they're coming out with new stuff and trying to be cutting edge with all their stuff. But honestly, I feel like their ideas might run out here soon. They need to come up with something new and quick. Figured I'd give you a different view here. Really proud of how this blue came out. This thing turned out a lot cleaner than I really thought it would be. My brother is an LS engine guy. He says you can put that motor in anything while pointing to a Toyota. Yeah, you really can. Honestly, those things will go in anything. I actually saw a guy, he's putting an LS engine in like a 71 or 2 Dart. So, yeah, wherever you want to put it in, it'll go, pretty much. What engine is the Demon? I'm guessing it's Hellcat based, so like the 6.2 Hemi. If I had to guess, I mean they've obviously done some kind of upgrade to it, but I don't really know what just yet. Do you like the Dodge Viper trucks? They're pretty cool. I've seen a few at local shows. There used to be, I think there's actually a club here local that they do. It's all like Viper trucks and everything. Why do you think more people restore Chevy trucks and Fords rather than Dodges? Because they're cheaper and they're easier to find. If you want to work on one of these, you better have deep pockets in some instances. I mean, mostly this thing's been pretty cheap to work on, but there are some things that parts are just harder to find. Like with, if you notice in LMC's catalog, they didn't come out with a truck catalog until a lot longer after they came out with the Chevy and Ford catalog. So it's just there's more of a demand for them, really. So parts are easier to find. Even back then, they were just more popular, really. What do you think of the new Charger? I don't really like the 2016 or 17, like the RT grill. I like the grill before it, like the 13 or 14. But the Hellcat grill, much better. I like the Chargers. If I were to get a new Dodge, it would be, like a sedan or something. It would be between the Charger and the Challenger, and it'd be a tough decision for me because I like the fact that the Charger's 4-door, but you can't beat a Challenger the way it looks. What rear gears do you have in the 74 truck? They are 323s, and it's a Sure Grip. Will the new Demon be all-wheel drive? I have no idea. Would you rather buy a Chevelle or a Buick Skylark? I don't know, because I think Buick Skylarks are definitely underrated, but you can't beat a Chevelle. There's just something about them. Like, my favorite Chevelle is probably a 70, and done it like a Baldwin Motion, if you ever seen them before. But you can't beat a Chevelle. Probably one of my favorites, either 69 or 70. But you can't beat a Buick Skylark. I honestly think those are some of the most underrated muscle cars that they ever made. I don't know much about them, so I can't really say much for them, but I think that they're really cool. Mopar parts are a danger to the pocket. It makes me really wish that my dad still had a 77 Chevy Nova Rally Sport. It was a rental 4 on the floor. Yeah, they are a danger to the pocket. So if you're wanting something, if you want to get, that's what I always tell people, like a good entry-level vehicle, if you don't really know much about older vehicles and you want something just to get into it, definitely get like a Chevy truck or something like that. You can't beat the reliability and the easy to find parts and stuff like that. The availability for parts it's a lot easier to find, because for every one of these you'll find 10 more Chevy trucks. Same thing with Ford. So that's like a lot of people ask me what would be a good first car for just to get into the old car world. I normally say Chevy truck. Buick Skylark is worth more? Probably so. In certain cases, it probably is. Favorite super stock Mopar? I think I've been asked about this before. Probably the 60, is it 68 Cuda? The one that had like the, gosh, were they aluminum or fiberglass front ends? It's the one that, they came from the factory with they were primered and they had the Hemi hood scoop on them and the black front end. I don't remember what kind of front end they had, but those are probably that right there. What about the fact that the 5.3 LS motors are best engines in the world? Well, that depends on who you are. That's a matter of preference, but you honestly cannot beat an LS engine in that aspect. I mean, you can take a stock LS and run it up to 1,000 horsepower and not blow it up after a few passes. But yeah, they're really strong and stout engines. Who painted the Little Red Express? Well, it's not mine. It's my dad's. So it got painted in 1995 by his friend, his longtime friend. So it's been painted like that for over 20 years now. Seen a small block Dodge run for 2 months after breaking the oil pump drive due to a lack of oil changes, and that thing still ran. Yeah. Same thing with my truck. When I got it had no oil in it. Oil filter busted, and they let it run out. Filled it back up, and I drove it 150-mile round trip just this last weekend. It didn't even hesitate. Fiberglass hood, aluminum fenders, maybe? Yeah, I think you're right. I think that's right. But they came up with a black front end and the Hemi hood scoop on a 68 Barracuda. But yeah, that's my favorite looking car. Just look up like 68 Barracuda super stock. I think you could find it. I think it's a super stock. Me being truthful, I have 3 Mopar projects. I plan on getting a 70 Challenger and restoring my dad's 71 Charger for him, and I have no clue where the money is going to come from. Yeah, those are big projects, especially being an e-body. And I think you said you have you're the one who said you had a satellite. No, you had a GTX, right? I think you said you had a GTX before. But yeah, those are big money items. That's why I like, for now, dealing with the trucks, because for the moment they're pretty easy to work on. The parts aren't as expensive. Same thing with like A bodies and whatnot. That's why I really like dealing with them. But eventually, I like to get into stuff like that. How many miles does Little Red Express have now? Well, back then, I mean, he doesn't really drive it a terrible amount. Here recently, he's driven it much more, but I couldn't really tell you, to be honest, because the engine got rebuilt when it was restored, like totally rebuilt. It got bored 30 over, new pistons, new crank, heads were cleaned up and everything. So on the rebuild, I couldn't honestly tell you and be certain about it, but not many. What's the best place to replace the floor in an 8-foot long bed, 73D100, if you can't find a replacement bed? I don't know. I mean, you could, if you're looking for cheap, get you a big piece of sheet metal and lay it in the floor. But surely there's some kind of long bed you could find, maybe in a junkyard local. I'd assume that you see a lot of long beds on Craigslist. Look in the parts section of Craigslist on auto parts. I see a lot of long beds get parted out on there. Yeah, same with the 68 darts and super stock. Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, you're thinking exactly the same I am. I believe Hurst had something to do with those Cudas you're talking about. Maybe the Hemi under glass. Favorite car movie? That's a really good question. I love Vanishing Point because of the Challenger. That's one of my... that's why I really like Challengers, and I've been around them a lot. So, I don't know. I really like Dirty Mary, Crazy Larry for the Charger. Christine is a good one. Blues Brothers. If you've ever watched, what is it called? Death Proof. Now that's a good movie. It's got a lot of crazy stuff in it, but Death Proof it's an awesome car chase. It really hurts your heart though to see the car crashes, but it's awesome. Oh, Bullet, definitely a good one. I couldn't pick a favorite one because there's so many different cool car movies I like. I have an 87 Dodge D100 with a 318 motor. Can't wait to restore it simply because you don't see them nicely restored as much. I actually saw a guy last weekend, he had an 84 that was a slant 6. He put a 318 with a Hughes Whiplash and a 4-speed in it. It was actually a 3-speed with overdrive with 391 gears in it, and that thing looked good. Good looking truck. 70 GTX Charger and a 71 Satellite Sebring. Yeah, just like Daisy's on Dukes of Hazzard. Looks just like her. Oh, that's cool. My grandpa had a 68 Barracuda Formula S 344 speed fastback. He rode it just before going to Vietnam. Man, that's terrible. That's cool that he had one. All right, guys, I'm going to have to wrap this one up. My phone's just about to die. So thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.